Hello everyone, and welcome back. I'm an individual who wholeheartedly believes that you should only invest within the characters that you like. And that means like personality, design, whatever. You can basically ignore the meta because as of right now, let's be honest here, you kinda already know who's going to be good. It's gonna be Caesar, it's gonna be Bernice, it's going to be Jane Doe. This is twofold. First off, because yes, they have really good kits, and in some cases, like in my opinion, Caesar's at least, they're very overloaded. I think that she was a perfectly fine defensive unit who gave buffs better than Lucy, at least at C0, but the amount of stun she does is a little bit unreal. Beyond that though, I think that given the small roster we have, at least in comparison to the rest of the HoYo games when they launched, and in comparison to most of the other HoYo games, at least at this point in time, the roster is so small that any new character who does anything at all is going to be really good. Seth was strictly good because he was our only defensive option outside of Ben Bigger. And so, with less comparisons, everybody is either really amazing or really bad in an overfilled niche. We don't have many supports for either. And so Nicole is great just off the simple basis that she's a support who can help out Juyeon, because they seem to want to add every fire character in existence and apparently more physical characters without them being DPSs and solely focusing, on the damaging factor and not necessarily the stun that we need or the 4 stars that we desperately need for every elemental type. I think that, and I want to wholeheartedly state that I believe for the vast majority of people, if you have 1, maybe 2, or even 3 characters that you like, you can invest heavily within them. For me, it's been Lucy and Qingyi, and Koleda as well. Nekomata here is maxed, she's C1. Her skills are 12-12-12. I even unlocked the F skill. Lucy is slowly getting there, so is Qingyi, and then so too with somebody like Koleda. Soukaku I'm iffy on just because I don't like the new voice, but I do like the design a lot, so that's 50-50. But regardless of circumstance, I'm very happy with the investment I've made. And in a HoYo game, it's ill-advised to chase the meta, at least for the first year of launch. In my opinion, within HoYoverse games, the problem you will run into is basically that, for the most part, the meta is undecided and it's inconsequential. The newest character will always be the strongest because, for the most part, the newest characters are building out a brand new niche, whether that be defense archetypes within someone like Caesar and Seth, whether that be anomaly characters that are limited, such as Jane Doe. As a result of a new character's release, you either A, get somebody who splits scales as of right now, or offers double dipping in stats, which is somebody like Caesar, as an example, or somebody like Qingyi, or you're getting a character who fulfills a niche that otherwise wasn't available before, like defensive units in general. And so, if you continue to chase the meta or build out characters, you're not going to have a good time. Yes, you're going to have an easy time clearing content, but depending on how you look at it, depending on what you're rolling for, you may end up in a position to where you pulled for a DPS that got power crept the next patch or 2 patches down the line. An example in HSR being any Qingyi main, any person who pulled Blade, any person who pulled Sealy, because those characters just aren't as viable as they once were, because we got more break-focused characters with Firefly and Ranmei. We got ignore weakness elemental type, like characters such as Fei Zhao or Acheron. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing to say they add new mechanics, it's just to say that HoYoverse doesn't really know how to balance these new mechanics. I mean, any game player can look at somebody like Neuvillette and say that he has so much self-sustaining capabilities that he very heavily, for the amount of damage he does, is a bit too strong. He outpaces a lot of the current characters or the older characters. If you're looking at supporting characters from that first year of Genshin, Venti's dead and in the water. Klee isn't even used anymore. And whilst Ganyu, Hu Tao, and those other characters are great, Xiao had to wait years before he got Xian Yun a proper plunging damage support. Ganyu only got slightly better, but she is lacking the danger reactions that would really benefit her. And so, the TLDR is, if you have a character you like, build them out, whether they're standard, which for me is Nekomata, but they're limited, like Juyeon, like Jane Doe, like Caesar, for example, or even a 4-star. Because for at least what we have in the game right now, Soukaku, Soldier 11, don't have active story quests for you to get to know them. And as a result, at least as of right now, Soukaku is very much so lacking within the other supporting cast department because we lack 4-stars. Caesar, Bernice, and to an extent characters like Lighter are going to all be 5-stars. We even have Miyabi, who we know is going to be a 5-star. And there's so many 5-stars filling that role, it's like, where are the 4-stars? It's not necessarily a point of, oh, we need really good 4-stars. It's a point of, we don't have other options. If you're a Juyeon main, you have one other character you can utilize to actively benefit her elemental type. You also have to consider the situation that every older character or, 1.0 character is in a position to where they are eternally bound to a character that shares the same faction or element. Whereas newer characters don't even care about the element, just either faction or a specific archetype, like an attack character. If we're looking at our newest release here, Caesar, she's in a similar position, can activate defensive assist or shares the same faction. For anyone wondering, a defensive assist is legitimately going to be every character. And so the restrictedness of 1.0 characters is very much so there because they're either bound by the squad they're in, which can subsequently be limiting. In Nekomata's case, no other Cunning Hair's character is a physical support for her. And so unless you have another defensive physical character like Caesar, you're not getting that bonus. And Koleda has the exact same thing. Yes, you can use her with Ben Bigger or Lucy, but at the very least, Lucy is more supportive. So Lucy actually works in that department. The TLDR is, the meta is undefined, and we are lacking so many foundational units. We finally got a 4-star character who is a supportive unit that most of you will have gotten right now if you put on Jane Doe's banner. If you skip Jane Doe's banner, you don't have him. And you might not have many characters because you're only guaranteed a certain few. If you don't have Lucy, well, you can get her for free at least, so that's a plus. But it's the downside if you don't because you're lacking that character. You're lacking that fire department. The standard roster at least has a full fire team, but you're required to put on limited banner if you want somebody like a dedicated ice DPS. Physical is solely reliant on, at this point, Caesar or other elements because so many, if not all the physical characters are just variations of a DPS. Yes, you have the attackers, but anomaly characters act in the same department as a DPS, take up the exact same amount of field time. So you really don't have that. I'd say if you're unsure of who to pull, your best option will always be a support. If you like a character and don't want to pull, you don't have to. At the end of the day, clearing Shiyu defense versus not isn't going to net you many more gems in the event that you spend them all pulling for a character you don't like. If you don't like Ellen, there's no point in pulling Ellen. The same thing goes for Caesar, Juyan, Jane Doe, and so on. Plus design-wise, Qingyi has been the hottest limited character we have so far, and Lucy as well, but that's just my opinion. So tell me, who do you simp for? And subscribe if you're interested, of making more randomized content in the future, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.